Welcome to the Geeks, 31 Days of Horror for Halloween. This is Alil.
And this is Steve.
And tonight we're reviewing Phantoms from 1998. So for those of you who have not been with us before, we'll play for you our rating system.
This has a rating system in place that we like to call 0 to 0. If whatever horror movie we're reviewing is terrifying only to the most infantile who get nightmares from PG-13 reboots, it gets a 0. If it's a gorgasm-inducing slaughter party that satiates your most devious and monstrous desires, it gets a hero.
In a peaceful town of Snowfield, Colorado, something evil has wiped out the community, and now it's up to a group of people to stop it, or at least get out of Snowfield alive. Phantom stars
Everybody from
Ben
Scream.
Affleck, well, just about Peter O'Toole, Rose McGowan, Liev Schreiber, Ben Affleck, and just a bunch of others.
Ben Affleck was so good, Alil said his name twice.
Ben Affleck.
He was way too young to have as much history as he did.
Well, I mean, he was in his 30s, right? At this point in 98.
He looked like he was 12 years old in this movie.
Well, he did. He did look like that in the 90s, but I mean, it's 72, 82, 92. Yeah, he's in his 30s, so yeah, maybe he could have. So Phantoms. So Steve, on a whim, I just, for some odd reason, turned this on because I was like, it was the next thing on the screen to play, and I'm like, all right, let me watch Phantoms because Steve hasn't given me any movies to watch yet. Why not? And guess what? I never watched this movie back in the 90s. I skipped this movie. I remember seeing the trailer and the posters, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pass. And I have not watched it ever. The only reason I remember this movie was a Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Ben Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Yeah. You were the bomb in Phantoms.
No shit, son. Phantoms like a motherfucker.
And then I was like, huh. Like, Affleck was in that? All right. Maybe one day I'll get to it. And then I finally did. And I give this movie a low sidekick. This movie is pretty boring. If we've talked about some boring movies this 31 days, this one is up there. It is boring. Everyone is very stiff. Makes no sense. It's a very odd movie. I'll just put it that way. I like the concept of, this life form thing, but we'll get some more of that in spoilers, but it's low sidekick. So Steve?
Yeah, this movie also gets a low sidekick from me. I have seen this movie before. Mostly because this is 90s horror. This is like, you look at the poster, it looks like the poster from The Faculty, it looks like the poster from Scream, it looks like the poster from I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's Dean Koontz. I happen to be a Dean Koontz fan, so
it's Dimension Films, and that's
it's kind of all those. I mean, let's not forget this is also 1998, the same year as Armageddon. So this isn't exactly a movie I saw in the theaters, but this came out around that same time, so Ben Affleck was big. So I definitely checked this out. The problem with this movie is, one, it's dated to all hell. It is so dated. It is very much a product of its time. This is a movie that has most of its problems solved with cell phones, in the beginning of it anyways. And that's, I think, the biggest problem I have with this movie is that I love the opening so much. And then there's a certain spot in the movie, and it's where a specific police officer gets attacked by a moth creature. If you stop the movie there, after that scene's over, that was a good time. That was a pretty good time up to that point. It's after that point, throughout the rest of the movie, that you're just like, man, I don't like where this movie's going. I thought we were doing one. They could have done anything a little.
I know.
And they went where they went. And I get that they're following a book because it is pretty faithful to the book. But
I didn't know that. I didn't know this was a book.
It just didn't make. It was a book that came out in 1983. But it just didn't make for a good movie so much. I think the ideas were kind of interesting, but the execution was all over the place, and the CGI was not where it needed to be for this to look effective at all. It kind of looked like a made-for-TV movie in big chunks of it.
Yeah.
And then it has this gotcha kind of ending, and didn't care for that. Like I said, well, you know, kind of like maybe it's not over, you know, one of those. But I have some problems with Liev Schreiber as a character too. That guy's a fucking creep. But you know, like I said, if you stop after the moth attack, that was all pretty good up until that point. Then it just takes a turn. So low sidekick for me.
All right, let's get into some spoilers.
Spoilers.
So Steve, you're right when you were talking about, like, it started off pretty interesting. You know, you get Rose McGowan, they're into this town.
I hated all this opening dialogue, like with her and her boyfriend and all this crap on the car phone. This was all stilted and badly acted, and like, who's like, oh, I'll stay for a month? Who just has a month?
People with no jobs,
like that,
no families,
live in Snowfield, California. I don't know.
No, it's Colorado.
Is it Colorado? I thought it. Well, are you sure?
Filming, yeah, Snowfield. I'm looking right here. Snowfield, Colorado. But the problem is, after that scene, then it feels like an hour of the film goes by before anything else happens. You got the military, you got the
before that stuff. But I mean, after they have this terrible opening dialogue, once they get to like this girl's house, it kind of just it goes. Like, they walk in the house, they find their housekeeper dead immediately. Like, and her body's
they
all
find everyone dead, but you don't see the death.
I thought that was great, though. I liked all this. I liked them finding that, and then they go like, "Oh, we're gonna go find the who else do they find?" They go to the police station, but all the fucking cops are dead in there. Like, what the fuck? Then they go like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this, like, the baker." I don't know why they want to go see the baker, but they go see the baker, and the fucking hands are still on the rolling pin, but they're cut off. That was cool. And then there's like the oven goes off, and they're like, "Ding." And they go and open the oven, and it's pies, but then the heads fall, even though those heads should have been pretty crispy, but they look kind of fresh. But like, severed heads in the fucking oven. All this stuff is pretty cool. I'm getting into it. I'm like, because it's about 40 minutes, about 35, 40 minutes here setting all this up. And I'm like, all right, like, we can build the mystery and have like a cool payoff. Like, there's a monster, there's an entity, there's a killer, there's something.
Yeah.
And then these cops just kind of stroll in, like, where the fuck did they come from?
I agree. I guess, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I was bored.
The cops are Ben Affleck, another guy named Steve, and then Liev Schreiber, who is a
creep,
rapist. He tries to get handsy with a dead woman.
I mean, yes. This was Liev Schreiber in 1998. Like, what has he done? Scream 2. And this at that point.
And there are scenes and lines in movies.
Sweaty.
He's so sweaty. He's chewing gum the whole time. Where like I cringe so hard. Like the whole, like, in the beginning, like, you know, Rose McGowan's like, I'm from LA, I'm a street girl, but like, she does not look like a street girl. And then like the sister's trying to figure out how to load the shotgun, and then Rose McGowan's like, give me that. And she loads it up really quick. LA's good for something. It's like, part of my soul,
people from California?
Part of my soul died when she said that. I was like,
this is exactly what I think of all people who live in California.
It's very regionist of you.
Remember I told you they all wear neon clothes? And
yeah, we all fucking hang loose and cowabunga, and we know how to load shotguns really well.
I mean, that's what it is. Although I wear a lot of neon nowadays in Florida. But I guess, Steve, I get what you're saying, right? Like, it set up a mystery, right? but the mystery, and I guess
You didn't want to know. You weren't intrigued. You didn't want to know what's killing all these people. What's
did,
happening?
but I would like to see more of it. You know, you only see how many deaths do you really see? 2.
But then they all come back.
Right. Well, that's the thing. And then they all, you know, it's that.
Liev Schreiber gets his whole ass face ripped off.
But then he's back.
But everybody's back, and it's not even them. It's like a replication of them. And that's the thing. The thing that ends up being is like this weird creature that has existed and lived for millions of years that has found a way to replicate everything that it kills and
learns
thinks of itself as a god.
Yeah, and learn because the town thought of him as a god and was writing things about him, and you know Peter O'Toole was
Wow.
a writer that got sent to do stuff for like Star Magazine and stuff because nobody believed his story.
Peter O'Toole is acting his ass off for this movie.
He was in a different movie than Ben Affleck was. That's for damn sure. Because Ben Affleck was stiff as shit in this movie.
Hey, Stu, you okay? Stu, you okay? Hey, Stu, you okay? I need you to be okay. You okay, Stu?
This is what I don't get. I think this is why everybody was worried about Affleck as Batman. Is like, in one thing, like he's awesome, and then the next thing he does shit like this, and it's like, I don't even know what
he had a nothing character. His character didn't do anything. He stood around with a cowboy hat until he didn't, and just stood there. They had one scene where they tried to shoot that moth thing.
I agree, but the whole time he was very stiff.
Everybody, like this whole trio, our main characters, are inconsequential to the story. Like they're just there.
They're there, yeah, exactly. They have no reason.
And they don't die. Like so, there's nobody that we get introduced to except for the 2 other cops.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, anybody who dies is fodder. Because like all the military people just die, you know. But like
half of them are wearing fucking full body suits when you can't even tell who they are.
That's what I'm saying, Steve. That's what I'm saying. That there's, it gets a little boring because it's like I feel no stakes for anybody involved.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I like the build up, but there's no payoff. The direction they go after the moth attack, where I'm like, all right, you've done taken 2 cops out now, so now shit can start popping. Where they go after that is I don't like because they could have gone anywhere.
And then they find out that this thing has some similar qualities to oil. And, there's this van has this compound for oil that it can eat, you know, this bacteria that eats the oil, you know, because of oil spills. But we'll just inject it with that. And maybe it'll take it out.
Now, let's get all of our space age guns out of this research van and load it up with these weird glowy cartridges that we can just conjure up right here. And we'll go shoot it at that terrible CGI monster that's swirling around behind all those people over there.
Yes.
Not good.
No. Dean Koontz, it felt like he stole from the...
I haven't read or listened to this book in particular, but I have listened to several Dean Koontz books. I am a fan, but I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I think this one for me, it's like a hard pass. Like I will never revisit this movie.
And see, it could, if you didn't even like the beginning, I don't know how you're not at a 0 because that's the only reason I'm not is because I like the beginning.
You know, it's because I enjoyed parts, but I was still bored. I give it some credit because
I guess
there's a story to it, right?
But
like
if you like the payoff to that opening mystery, then you wouldn't be bored in that opening mystery on repeat viewings.
You're right.
This is good. Look, they're setting this up and they're setting that up, and that's going to pay off here. But because there is no payoff, then you look back at it and you're like, this was all garbage. Like I didn't need to spend any amount of time with it.
All right, Steve, 0.
Makes sense. I like the opening. I still like the opening, and then I hate the end. Who are the actresses at the end?
Rose McGowan and what's her name?
No, that meet Liev Schreiber in the bar.
Oh, at the bar. I forgot who they were. I know who you're talking about. I forgot.
Either way, Liev Schreiber's there at the end in the bar, like, you want to see something interesting? Like,
Being all sweaty.
still chewing gum.
I don't know. How did he become like a leading man? I don't know.
I hear that show Ray Donovan's good.
I did. All right. Well, that's it for Phantoms. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for your support. This is Will.
And this is Steven. Until tomorrow night, everybody, keep it creepy.